Good. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Julia. You're welcome. Well, welcome to the Fire Policy Committee. This is February 28th, 2024, and we're kicking this off right at 9 o'clock for the record. I do have a quick announcement here. This is a public meeting, subject to public meeting law, and it will be digitally recorded, so everything said in the meeting is on the official record. Please be mindful of comments and side conversations. Remember to always state your name for the record. Cases dealing with denial, revocation, or civil penalty, only information contained in the staff report can be considered once the staff report is adopted. Assumptions, outside knowledge, or personal experiences should not be included in any discussion. So with that, let's go ahead and go around the room and do some introductions. So I'll go ahead and start. So I'm Claire McGrew, Chief Deputy for the Department of State Fire Marshal. I happen to be your Vice Chair for this meeting today.
Alright, everybody, my name is Isaac McClellan. I'm a firefighter from Portland, and happy to be here. It's my first meeting.
Awesome. Welcome.
Here's Alan Knight, Lake Oswego Fire Department, and I'm representing the Oregon Fire Marshals Association.
Julia Budlong, Fire Program Support Specialist, DPSST.
I'm Andy Ponce, I work for Portland Fire.
Phil Castle, DPSST.
Yurgi, Compliance Specialist. Kayla Balra, Fire Program Manager, DPSST. All DPSST.
Brian Henson, DPSST.
Perfect. Thank you in the room. And then let's go to the virtual world. Andre, could we start with you?
Andre Lindauer, public member.
Thank you, sir. Chief Apple?
Yeah. Chris Apple, Deputy Chief, Eugene Springfield Fire, representing Oregon Fire Chiefs Association.
Welcome. Tim Holzbach?
Good morning. Tim Holzbach with the Oregon Department of Forestry, representing forest protection agencies.
Chief Carragher?
And Jack Carragher, representing Oregon Volunteer Firefighters Association.
James Adams?
James Adams, representing Oregon State Firefighters Council, and I work for Ben Fire.
Thank you. Joseph?
Morneau.
Thank you.
Joseph Morneau, Coburg Fire, representing OFDDA.
Good, thank you, sir. Kathy?
Kathy McAlpine, DPSST.
Thank you. And then, Julia, do we have anybody else that is below there? Yeah, we do have a couple. Rose?
Good morning, Rose Douglas. I'm representing the Firefighting Training Associations.
Thank you. Tylese?
Good morning, Tylese Swanson. I'm representing community colleges. I'm with Rogue Community College.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us today. And do we have anybody else that I've missed? We got everyone. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Julia. Well, welcome to, again, Fire Policy Committee. And again, I appreciate everybody that's new to the table, as well as those that have been here for a little bit as well. As we move into our first order of business, I know each of you got a chance to look at the minutes. So I would open it up if there's any, is there any discussion or any changes or any considerations that we need to make with the minutes? Nope, hearing none. Let's move into a motion.
Here's Alan Knight, for the record, I'll move to accept the minutes.
Perfect, thank you. We have a first on the floor to accept the minutes.
Tim Holzbach seconds.
Oh, we have an Andy seconds. Sorry, I heard that one first. Awesome. And then let's move into a vote.
Jack Carragher.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Claire McGrew.
Yes.
Jim Adams.
Yes.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Yes.
Tim Holschbach,
Yes.
Andy Ponce,
Yes.
Kurt Zoutendijk,
Yes.
Tylee Swanson,
Yes.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer,
Yes.
Isaac McLennan,
I'm gonna abstain. As I wasn't here, I don't feel like I could.
Did you review the minutes?
I did.
Okay, so you are still welcome to vote.
Okay, then I vote yes.
okay. Motion carries.
Perfect, thank you for that. And now we have, Brooke is gonna kind of take the floor for us to talk through, I think item 3, the case review quick sheet that's in your book.
Yes, thank you. Brooke Bellarudi for the record. So since we have some new faces, just always think it would be helpful to go over how and why you as a policy committee are reviewing the discretionary cases that come before you. So when we receive a case, this is the following criteria and why it comes before you. So if we receive an application for certification or an E1 form, which is an eligibility form for certification, and we run a background check and find that the firefighter has a criminal conviction in their history, if it is within the last 10 years and it carries a sentence of more than 1 year, which in Oregon is a felony, or it was within the last 5 years and it carries a possible sentence of less than 1 year, which is a misdemeanor in Oregon, we would bring these cases forward. For misdemeanors, we only bring the case forward if it occurred in the last 5 years and there are other circumstances attached to it. So those circumstances include dishonesty or deceit, a sexual offense, or if the crime is sexual in nature. If it's a drug offense, involves discrimination, destruction of property, a crime against a public agency, involves illegal use or possession of a deadly weapon, or involves violence, abuse, or neglect against a person or an animal. If we are informed of a conviction and someone has an active fire certification, we will also gather the case materials and we will present that to you. If the individual has lapsed certifications, we will track the case, and then if we receive an application for certification, we will bring it forward. If they remain lapsed, then we will not open a further case. On the second page is a flow chart of how these cases will run in the Fire Policy Committee. This is the most common order. Every once in a while something happens and they go in a different order, but this is the most common order. So I will present the case. The firefighter is given the option to present verbal mitigation. You as a policy committee will discuss the case in its entirety, including any aggravating and mitigating circumstances. You can vote to adopt or return the staff report, and then you would vote to recommend action or no action to the board, and then the board would affirm or return the committee recommendation. A vote for action means that you would either deny or revoke the firefighter's certifications. A vote for no action means that you are not taking any action and they can keep their fire certifications. Are there any questions regarding this process? When we go through the cases, it'll become a little more clear, but if you do have any questions about why something's happening, please feel free to stop me and ask the questions, because most of the time other people have similar questions too. Given the folks in these cases seem to be fairly well connected to folks in this room, I did want to go over conflict of interest. So just reading this resource guide that we have for our meetings, conflicts of interest occur when a committee member has competing interests or loyalties in a matter being presented for discussion, recommendation, or vote. Whenever a committee member has an actual financial or personal interest in any matter coming before the committee, The affected member should disclose the nature of the interest and withdraw from any discussion or voting on the matter. So if you have a financial interest in any of these cases, then you definitely need to abstain from any discussion and voting. If you know these folks personally and you still feel like you can be objective in the discussion and vote, then you are welcome to vote. If you do not feel that you can be objective, then you would need to abstain. If you do know them personally, you do need to make a statement when you're included in the discussion and voting that you do have a perceived potential conflict of interest by knowing them personally. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, thank you. All right. And then I will turn it back over to you for the introduction of the next case.
Perfect, thank you. Always helpful as well. I think sometimes as we work through the process, and you guys have always been helpful, even if we get a little step halfway about how we could proceed or what steps we need to take. So always appreciate you being here, Brooke. So now we're actually going to step into agenda item number 4. And that goes back to Brooke.
Okay. And William is here, so we are going to go get him. He will be able to witness the case, and then he will be given 5 minutes to give verbal mitigation, and then you as a committee will discuss. So we'll just let him get in here and get settled before we start.
How much to have a cup of coffee? Is that for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except you.
Wherever I come from, you have to pay for your coffee wherever you go. So,
Yeah, nope, it's on us.
Put mine on his tab.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're going to make those on the phone now, miss out on coffee.
It's really good today, by the way.
Yeah, next time I'm showing up in person.
Do it.
If you want to take a seat, right in the middle of the desk.
Thank you so much.
Just right there. Are you ready?
We are.
Great. Brooke Belly review for the record. DPSST staff received an application for certification for William Comerford in July of 2023. In the application process, we did a routine background check for applications for certification, and we found that Comerford had a criminal conviction in his history. In April of 2022, he was convicted of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. This conviction requires review by the Public Policy Committee because it occurred within the last 5 years and the underlying conduct involves dishonesty. The following is a summary of events that led to Comerford's arrest and conviction. In January of 2022, a Sandy police officer noticed a speeding vehicle and pursued the vehicle to initiate a traffic stop. According to the officer, when he turned on his emergency lights, Comerford's vehicle began to accelerate and then exited the highway. The officer pursued Comerford for a total of 1.75 miles after activating his emergency lights and noted that Comerford reached a speed of about 60 miles per hour in a residential neighborhood. Comerford ultimately pulled over at a dead-end street, and he was cooperative in his arrest and honest about his consumption of alcohol prior to driving, but the arresting officer did note that Comerford stated he did not see the patrol vehicle's emergency lights and that he was not attempting to evade arrest, which the officer felt to be dishonest. Staff found the following as relevant circumstances for consideration. Comerford was employed by Portland Fire and Rescue at the time of the incident, as well as being certified. He was cooperative and honest with the officer about driving while impaired, but was dishonest about eluding arrest. Additionally, he has completed his diversion program and probation requirements for his charges, as well as paying all fines and fees. Now, Comerford will have 5 minutes to give verbal mitigation. We'll set a timer for you, and we'll give you a 1-minute warning when your time is almost up. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all in person, and thank you for taking the time to read my written mitigation. As I wrote many times in my written mitigation, there are just no words that quite explain the deep sadness and regret I feel towards the mistakes that I made. At least daily, I feel physically sick and with regret and guilt, but this is an improvement from when I would routinely spend hours glued face down to my kitchen floor. It has taken me over 2 years to learn how to live with myself and the choices that I made, and it's a burden that I'll carry for the rest of my life. It horrifies me that I made choices unfitting of a law-abiding and sensible person, let alone a firefighter who is held to a higher standard. This is why, from the very moment that I made my life's biggest mistakes, doing something very, very wrong, I have been driven to do everything right since then. As mentioned in my writing, I enrolled early and voluntarily in alcohol and treatment, embracing sobriety during a time that I could have easily been enjoying my last drinks. I began going out of my way to learn every lesson that I could about alcohol, addiction, stress, sleep, mood, and happiness, all things that contributed to the mindset that I was in when I made my inexcusable mistakes. I met regularly with a mental health counselor to unpack and sort through all the stressors and traumatic events leading up to my mistakes, and learn tools to process anything that may come in the future in a healthy way. I've read books on alcohol, resiliency, and mental health, and applied what I've learned to my everyday life. Before receiving the letter notifying me of this investigation, I could have sworn I stood 10 feet tall. I was brimming with confidence in myself because of the growth and the learning that I worked so hard to accomplish. Just like that kintsugi pottery that I wrote about in my written mitigation, I have broken pieces that have been put back together and made much stronger and better because of what I've learned. I would never choose the path that brought me here, but make no mistake, I would never trade who I am today for anything. I'm stronger, more educated, more calm, more understanding, more compassionate, full of more self-control, and more the master of my own mind and emotions than I ever could have been had I not endured this journey. I am not suggesting that I'm happy that I made my mistakes, but every mistake, no matter how catastrophically big or small, is an opportunity to learn, and learn I have like I never thought that I could. Now that I'm on the other side, I want to help others. If I could prevent even one person from going down a path like mine, I would be overjoyed. Life as a firefighter is rife with opportunities to self-medicate with and abuse alcohol. This is why I'm in the process of becoming a peer support specialist through Portland Fire's peer support team with a focus on alcohol. I want to embed myself in the process of helping and healing others as a peer support specialist, just as I am embedded in the process of honoring our fallen. A simple desire to give back has turned into a lifelong commitment to the privilege of being a bagpiper. Others have taken notice of that commitment, and even knowing the full extent of my mistakes years ago, they have still appointed me to a leadership position within our Pipes and Drums band. It has been my greatest honor to play at nearly 50 memorial events for fire and law enforcement personnel in the last 2 years, and to lead our band in front of the memorial wall last year, just a stone's throw from where we now sit. I feel so strongly that I have been made better by what I've learned. I have so much to offer as a trained alcohol peer support specialist. I have so much to give to the citizens of Portland as a hazmat technician and a firefighter at a busy, hardworking firehouse. I have worked and will continue to work tirelessly to outweigh the harm that I caused with good and giving back over the next 25 years of my career, and as long as my health permits, into retirement as well.
1 minute.
Every entity with decision-making power so far has given me the gift of allowing me to continue that effort. Portland Fire, Chief Gillespie, and the Oregon Health Authority. Now I come to this committee with a humble and heartfelt plea. Please, allow me to stay embedded in the fire service, allow me to use my experience to help others, and allow me to continue to thrive in the family that has given me everything that I have and that I work so hard to give back to. With all humility, sincerity, and gratitude, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Will, for that. I appreciate your presence here today. As we move into next steps, I also will be looking at Brooke and Kayla to make sure that I'm on point for pieces. So we'll open it up now for discussion, which would include any opportunities for the committee to bring up any points of discussion, but also any aggravating or mitigating circumstances that you'd like to bring to the table.
So Andre Lindauer, for the record, not only did he make the selfish decision to drive while under the influence, he also made the decision for others, and that was not his decision to make. Flagging crew, drivers in the neighborhood, people walking their dogs, even though it was 1:30 in the morning. This was irresponsible and not something we want to see in our public safety professionals. However, mitigating circumstances are his true, heartfelt remorse and the letters from his supporters. He understands the consequences of his actions. He went into great detail about his frame of mind and why he did what he did. That kind of introspection shows maturity and a reflection of how his actions affected his career and others. We all make mistakes. We are all broken pieces of pottery that have been put back together. The key part is recognizing them and owning up to them, and I believe he has.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from the committee?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can. Thank you.
Jack Carriger. I have a unique understanding of this situation in as much as I have known William's family for quite some time. William was a volunteer firefighter when I was a fire chief at Staten Fire District. I also have the understanding of having been a police officer for 10 years and a fire chief. And to be honest with you, when I opened up this book and the first thing I saw was William's case on here, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that had happened. I was very disappointed. When you have a small agency and it's the people from that agency, which Staten has been very fortunate to have moved on from being a volunteer to being a career person in any department, but especially a large department, you feel some pride and a measure of success within yourself even, that you have helped mentor these people and move them on in life. So this was really upsetting. But I do believe that the person that sat before you today and explained his situation and shared his perspective, feelings, and understanding, and even more than that, his approach to the situation after the fact, that he has been so progressive in taking care of himself and looking to take care of others. I agree that this is something that is very out of character for William as far as I'm concerned. And I agree that it was not the right thing to do. But more so than that, I feel better about what I felt his character was and is after his thoughts today. And I agree that people do have the right to have a second chance when they've truly shown that they deserve the second chance. And I think William did that today. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Carricker. Any additional discussion or aggravating or mitigating circumstances from the committee?
I don't know if this is appropriate now, but where I would disclose any conflict of interest.
Yeah, so kind of like Chief Carricker did, he disclosed that he had a personal relationship with him, but it's based on the fact that you still think that you can be objective in making your discussion.
Yeah, okay. Well, for starters, I definitely think there is a perceived conflict of interest for sure. While I have nothing personally financially to gain in the situation, I think it should be known that not only do I work with Will at my firehouse, I'm also the president of my firefighter association and intimate with this case in regards to how the department carried out its disciplinary process. But I just want to make sure that the committee knows that while I would have every interest to be objective, my intent is to abstain because I don't want there to be any even perception that there's some sort of conflict. So I'm choosing to abstain.
Perfect. Thank you for your disclosure.
I am going to do the same thing. So I personally know Will and consider him a friend, so I will abstain from any action in this case.
Could we get your name for the record as well?
Andy Ponce.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Perfect. Anything additional from the committee?
James Adams for the record.
Yes, James.
Some of the mitigating factors for me in this case, there's no question that firefighters as well as police officers, public servants, take on a lot of stress and have to work especially hard to handle that stress in a healthy way. And alcohol can definitely be the easy button culturally, as well as, you know, it's way easier to go down that road, unfortunately, than to take care of the health situations that you need to take care of when you're exposed to all the stress. With that said, some of the mitigating factors for me is what he's doing as he continues to grow through this experience, being involved in the peer support team, trying to help other firefighters that might be struggling or coping in a negative way. If he can not only keep firefighters safe, but the public safe by keeping other firefighters off the road if they've been drinking, or police officers or anything like that. You know, it keeps them coming from across our desk, but it also keeps the public much safer. So to not only accept what he's done as a huge mistake in his life, but to move forward and try and better the fire service because of his mistakes, I think are fairly significant mitigating factors.
Thank you.
Tylee
Rose
Swanson.
Douglas for the record.
Go ahead, Tylee.
Sorry, Rose. James, I completely agree. And I would like to commend you, Will, for moving forward, not only in personal growth, but what you're doing and seeking and working very hard to prevent and help this within the fire service. I believe as well that that's a very significant impact and a significant mitigating factor.
Great, thank you.
Rose Douglas for the record.
Yes.
So some aggravating circumstance that I found in this was just being employed as a firefighter at the time. Obviously, there's a higher expectation. This didn't occur prior to employment. Mitigating, not only has he completed alcohol dependence program, the incidents now occurred just over 2 years ago. So some time has passed, and in that 2 years, he has shown what he's done to work towards preventing that kind of thing in the future. The other thing I want to point out as a mitigating, we do talk about the DUII, but that's not actually what we're evaluating. We're evaluating the evading charge. And one mitigating thing to me is that a decision to evade occurred while under the influence of an intoxicant, which does diminish a lot of decision making. And that intoxicant was consumed as part of an addiction, as he's admitted. So I think that needs to be taken as a mitigating circumstance as far as making the decision for evading. That's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the committee? This will be the last call for that. Okay, so we'll move into the next steps. So I'll be entertaining a motion to accept the staff reports.
Chair Zelnick, for the record, I'll move to adopt the record.
Great, thank you.
Andre Lindauer, second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, and Julia Murkowski vote.
Jack Carragher,
Aye.
Claire McGrew,
Aye.
Jim Adams,
Aye.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Aye.
Tim Holschbach,
Aye.
Harriet Zoutendijk,
Aye.
Tylese Swanson,
Aye.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Julia. So now we have a secondary action item, whether to take action or no action. And so I'll be entertaining a motion on next steps for that.
Tylese Swanson, for the record. I recommend a motion for no action.
Andre Lindauer, second.
Thank you, Tylese and Andre. So we have a motion on the floor for no action, and Julia will cast our vote.
Jack Carragher,
Aye.
Claire McGrew,
Yes.
Jim Adams,
Aye.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Aye.
Tim Holschbach,
Aye.
Harriet Zoutendijk,
Aye.
Tylese Swanson,
Aye.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer.
Aye.
Motion carries for no action.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you for joining us here today, Will.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck with your next steps in your career.
We'll be in touch with you. I can give you a call after the meeting's over and just let you know what everything else will look like. But thank you very much. I'm sorry it's raining.
Great, so as we transition to next steps, we'll have Brooke transition back in, and we also have our agenda item number 5 is we have a secondary review for Curtis Dietz. And Brooke, anything to add on that?
So Curtis Dietz is also here to present verbal mitigation. So Kayla is going to go escort him in, and so we'll just let him come in and get settled, and then we'll go through that case.
Perfect, thank you. Take a seat, Linda.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Our next case is for Curtis Dietz. DPSST staff received a law enforcement data system alert that Curtis Dietz had been arrested in April of 2023. Staff tracked this case as Dietz currently holds DPSST fire certifications. On July 25th of 2023, Dietz was convicted of unlawful possession of a firearm. This case must be reviewed by the committee because it occurred within the last 5 years and the underlying conduct involves illegal possession of a deadly weapon. The following is a summary of the events that led to Dietz's arrest and conviction. A state police officer observed Dietz's vehicle abruptly swerve over the center line and back into its lane. The officer conducted a traffic stop and noticed what looked like a beer can in the center cup holder, as well as the smell of alcohol coming from the vehicle. Dietz admitted to consuming alcohol prior to driving and initially refused a field sobriety test, but ultimately ended up agreeing to one. He provided a breath sample which resulted in a blood alcohol concentration of 0.19%. During this stop, the other responding officer opened the driver's side door and found a loaded gun. Because of the location of this weapon and that it was concealed and accessible within the vehicle, the possession was unlawful. Staff found the following as relevant circumstances for consideration. Dietz's employment has since been updated, but he was affiliated with Portland Fire and Rescue and certified at the time of his arrest and conviction. He was honest with the arresting officer about driving while impaired. Dietz is participating in his diversion program, which if successfully completed would result in the driving while under the influence of intoxicants charge being dismissed. And he is on probation until July of 2024. Now Curtis will have the opportunity to give verbal mitigation. We'll set a 5-minute timer for you and then give you a 1-minute warning. Okay?
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Curtis Dietz, and on April 30th, I made a mistake. After going target shooting with my buddy to kind of help celebrate my employment at Portland Fire, we decided to stop off at the tavern, and instead of leaving the firearm out in the open in public view, I decided to put it just in the driver's side map compartment, and I didn't think twice about it. Later that night leaving, I was stopped for the traffic charge, and that's when the gun was found, and then I was ultimately charged with those convictions. The following Monday, I started at Portland Fire and Rescue, and for 14 weeks, I was performing exceptionally well, and I was trying to be a wealth of resource and knowledge to my fellow classmates, given my previous experience as a firefighter. I was in the top of my class for test knowledge, skills, and performance from what I've been told by classmates and instructors that were there. Once the legal proceedings were finalized, I had to regretfully resign from Portland Fire, and that was what crushed me the most. For 14 weeks, I knew that it was coming, but it didn't actually fully set in until I had to physically resign and then give in my paper. While I regret my actions and my decisions of that night, I'm just thankful and lucky that it was not any worse than what it could have been. But I will not let this 1 second blink in my life define who I am, because it's not who I am. I am an honorably discharged veteran, a sound and caring EMT, an extremely passionate firefighter, a loving son, and a trustworthy brother. I will respect the decisions made here, and I just hope that I can be seen not as what's on the paper, but as who I am as a whole. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you for being here today. So I will open it up to the committee for discussion. I will talk about any aggravating or mitigating circumstances.
Isaac McLennan, similar to the previous case, I'm going to have to recuse myself as well for some of the reasons that I worked with Curtis specifically after this incident as the president of our Firefighter Association, and I feel like my involvement with that, just perceptually, I think is problematic. So I'm going to recuse myself from this one as well.
Great, thank you, Isaac.
Andy Ponce, for the record, I'm going to abstain also from being employed with Portland Fire and Rescue have knowledge of the situation.
Great, thank you.
Jack Carriger. Again, this is an issue that I've been close to, with Curtis having been on state and fire while I was the chief there, and this is just a little too close. I don't feel comfortable with participating at this time, so I'm going to abstain also.
Great, thanks, Chief Carter. Any additional comments of aggravating and mitigating circumstances from the committee?
James Adams for the record. I just have a point of clarification. Am I correct in assuming that if it wasn't for the unlawful possession of a firearm, this wouldn't be coming across our desk to begin with? Is that correct?
If the DUI charge was dismissed and due to the length of time it takes to get through these cases, if the illegal possession of a weapon was not on there, you would not have seen this. Correct.
Copy. James Adams for the record. Then a mitigating circumstance for me in this case would be that it was an unlawful way to conceal that firearm. I understand though how easy it could be to not want to leave that on the seat when you're not currently with your vehicle. There's some safety issues there as well. Putting it in the map holder and forgetting about it, not good, but a mitigating circumstance for me would be that he wasn't doing anything reckless or endangering anyone with that firearm. He forgot that it was in the door and then proceeded to wind up getting pulled over for a DUI. And that was added on there. That's why we're seeing this case. But to me, a mitigating factor is that he wasn't concealing it in a dangerous way. He wasn't trying to conceal that from the police officer, from what I can see from this case. So those are mitigating factors for me.
Great, thank you. Any additional aggravating or mitigating circumstances?
Andre Lindauer for the record. Guns and alcohol. Regardless of the circumstances, that's just aggravating. They never mix. Whether someone inadvertently put their firearm into a map pocket holder, decisions were made. So I struggle with that.
Thank you. Anything additional from the committee?
Maybe a little more discussion would be good.
Be helpful.
Yeah.
I know in the past that has been a topic that DPSST has also raised to our awareness as well. Like more discussion about aggravating and mitigating circumstances are critical in these cases. So if there is anything additional that the committee could bring to the table, that would be helpful.
Rose Douglas for the record. They're just, I think part of the problem is there's just not a ton of information on this. I know I had questions beyond what was in the report, but I would say aggravating being obviously that he was employed at the time. It looks like he'd been a firefighter for quite some time with even though it was a new hire at Portland, been employed in other places, knows the standards. He mentions that he's a veteran, and so he fully well knows how to secure a weapon in transport and what's appropriate and what's not. And if you're going to and from shooting, you would typically have some sort of safe, some way to keep that secure. Leaving an unsecured weapon in a vehicle that could be seen and broken into, there's now legals around that. However, it wasn't a holster, so it didn't appear to be an immediate danger. It wasn't stored recklessly in that. And I would say that is a mitigating circumstance, as well as he is currently completing court mandated diversion, et cetera, for the DUII portion. So.
Great, thank you, Rose. Anything additional?
Kelly Swanson, are we in any way allowed to ask Curtis about any questions, or is his 5 minutes all that we have to go on?
It's not a back and forth between the committee and the applicant, so it's just based on his mitigation and the information in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Like Rose, there's a lot of information I wish I had. Some of my questions would be, was he proactive in anything, especially in the 14 weeks that he was in academy probation, and kind of decisions that were made after that? Outside of those questions, I don't have anything additional for aggravating or mitigating.
Great, thank you.
Probably not.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate the committee digging into that a little bit deeper. So at this time, let's go ahead. I will entertain a motion to adopt or return the staff report.
Kurt Zeltman, I move to adopt the record.
First from Hart.
Tylee Swanson, for the record, second the motion.
Great, thank you, Tylee. So we have a first and second to adopt the record, and then we'll go to a vote.
Claire McGrew,
Yes.
Jim Adams,
Yes.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Yes.
Tim Holschbach,
Yes.
Eric Soutendijk,
Yes.
Tylee Swanson,
Yes.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now we'll move into the secondary action item, which is to take action or no action.
Rose Douglas, for the record, I recommend no action.
Thank you, Rose.
James Adams, for the record, I second.
First and a second on no action, and then we'll go to a vote.
Claire McGrew,
Yes.
Jim Adams,
Yes.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Yes.
Tim Holschbach,
Yes.
Eric Soutendijk,
Yes.
Tylee Swanson,
Yes.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer.
Yes.
Motion carries for no action.
Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Curtis.
Thank you.
We'll have you exit out this way, 3 minutes late. But I will be in contact with you a call. But if you want to, I'll give you a call for the next steps.
Will be busy today, so we're actually going to transition back to Brooke for some administrative actions that we have.
All right. The following cases are provided as informational updates as they are discharge for cause and a mandatory revocation conviction. Staff reviews and makes the determination for these cases based on clearly defined rules and statutes. When these cases come before us, if someone's been discharged or has a mandatory conviction, it's very clear based on their behavior. Does it qualify as a discharge for cause? So we make that decision, and these, the way that the rule is written is these are a must revoke or deny, so we handle these administratively. We will be skipping one case, the second case found in this section. His documents were returned to me, so we had to remail them and give him sufficient time to request a hearing. So the first case is for Avery Hazard. He was discharged in July of 2023 from Sutherland Fire Department. After requesting and reviewing the termination letter and underlying investigation that led to his termination, DPSST staff determined that his behavior of multiple instances of harassment towards multiple members of the department qualifies as a discharge for cause. A notice of intent to revoke was sent, and his certifications are now permanently revoked. The second case is for Michael Wolf. Michael Wolf was convicted of aggravated murder and murder in the second degree. Both of these convictions are listed under ORS 137.700, and therefore Wolf's certifications must be revoked. A notice of intent to revoke was sent to Wolf, and his certifications are now permanently revoked. And then once the other case is finalized, it will also show up as an administrative update for you. Any questions on administrative actions?
No, thank you for bringing us to the
Yeah,
table.
questions on that?
Sure.
I mean, I'm just in general learning.
Yeah,
so
of
this
course.
is just a learning question. These cases, these administrative actions, it's more like a, just so you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that nothing, anything more than that?
Yeah, essentially, I believe the history was that the Fire Policy Committee just wanted to be aware of them. So basically, we receive a form saying that somebody has been fired. If it's because of behavior, I request information on why, and then based on a set list of behaviors, usually including abuse, use of illegal drugs, harassment, cheating, theft, as they're related to being on duty or under the color of office, then I make the determination if that qualifies as discharge for cause. And then the individuals are issued notices of intent to revoke, and then they have the opportunity to request a hearing. And so they can go through that process, and if they do request a hearing, that goes before an administrative law judge, and so they get their full due process. Yeah. But mandatory and discharge for cause revocations are permanent. So the way that the law is written is that if the individual was convicted of a mandatory disqualifying conviction, or if they were ever to have been discharged for cause, they cannot hold fire certifications.
I mean, that makes sense, obviously. The bad actors need not apply ever again.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, we have a job to do. We have an outstanding profession, and we want specifically in the fire service. Like some people should not be ever be a firefighter in the state of Oregon. I fully agree with that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Brooke on this topic? I think it's always helpful. Brooke, you've helped us to walk through some of these in the past, and so I think always appreciate the opportunity for conversation on it.
They're not all always so direct, or the behavior is not always perceived as so egregious, so sometimes there are more questions about it, but.
I can imagine the shades of gray, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's some things that are like, that's case closed, but.
Definitely.
Do
those then come to the committee for decision, or
No, they would, the process is still remains the same. If it was really questionable, we would go to DOJ for further guidance on that. But like I said, they get the opportunity to request a hearing. So if the judge feels that we didn't provide enough evidence to make the case that it's a discharge for cause, then they can overturn our decision.
Great, thank you, Brooke. And with that, I know as we're actually going to transition to item number 7 for firefighter Brian Flowers, which is for Fallen Firefighters Memorial Wall nomination.
Yes, so we have 2 line of duty death nominations for review. So the first one for Brian Flowers, on November 19th of 2023, Brian Flowers passed away after a months-long battle with occupational acute myeloid leukemia. His diagnosis has been deemed occupationally related by the City of Gresham's Workers' Compensation Insurance Administrator. Historically, Oregon's Fallen Firefighter Memorial Wall inclusion criteria has followed the criteria for inclusion on the National Memorial Wall. In cases of cancer presumption, the National Wall criteria refers to the home state's cancer presumption laws. In summary, under Oregon statute, the diagnosis is considered occupational if it is leukemia. It resulted from the firefighter's employment as a non-volunteer firefighter and was first diagnosed by a physician after July 1st of 2009. DPSST staff recommends Brian Flowers for inclusion on the Oregon Fallen Firefighters Memorial Wall because his death meets the criteria for inclusion on the National Wall. The action item now would be for the committee to confirm or deny Brian Flowers for inclusion on the Oregon Fallen Firefighter Memorial Wall. And then you can also ask any questions or have any discussion. There is more information in the actual staff report about the ORS regarding occupational cancer, but I didn't want to read all of that aloud to you. So if you do have any specific questions about that, feel free to ask.
Great, thank you, Brooke. So we have an action item to confirm or deny the inclusion on the memorial wall. We're seeking a motion.
Isaac McLennan for the record. I make a motion to confirm Brian Flowers to walk on the wall.
Perfect, thank you, Isaac. We have a motion to confirm.
Aaron John, for the record, I'll second.
Thank you, Aaron. Julia will run us through the vote.
Okay. Jack Carragher,
Confirm.
Claire McGrew,
Yes.
Jim Adams,
Yes.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Yes.
Tim Holschbach,
Yes.
Andy Ponce,
Yes.
Harriet Zoutendijk,
Yes.
Tylee Swanson,
Yes.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer,
Yes.
Isaac McLennan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And now we have the second of the two as well for, and I know Brooke will walk us through this as well for firefighter Mo Stadeli from Salem Fire.
So Maurice Stadley passed away in February of 2019 after being diagnosed with tonsil cancer in 2018. His diagnosis was ultimately deemed occupational by the State of Oregon's Workers' Compensation Board. As noted before, Oregon Fallen Firefighter Memorial criteria typically mirrors the criteria for inclusion on the National Memorial Wall. For cases of cancer presumption, the home state's cancer presumption laws are used to determine eligibility. According to the State of Oregon's cancer presumption laws, the cancer is considered occupational if the non-volunteer has been diagnosed after July 1st of 2009, the firefighter has completed 5 or more years of employment, and the death is caused by cancer of the throat or the mouth. DPSST staff recommends Maurice Stadley for inclusion on the Oregon Fallen Firefighters Memorial Wall as his death meets national criteria for inclusion. The action item will be for the committee to confirm or deny firefighter Stadley's qualification for inclusion on the memorial wall. And now it's time for any questions or discussions, and then we can take a motion and a vote.
Perfect. Any questions or discussion? So we entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to confirm his eligibility for the wall.
Thank you.
Andy wants it.
Thank you, Andy.
Aaron John, for the record, I'll second that.
Second from Harriet. And we'll move into the vote.
Okay. Jack Carragher,
Confirm.
Claire McGrew,
Yes.
Jim Adams,
Yes.
Chris Heppel,
Yes.
Joseph Morneau,
Yes.
Tim Holschbach,
Yes.
Andy Ponce,
Yes.
Harriet Zoutendijk,
Yes.
Tylee Swanson,
Yes.
Rose Douglas,
Yes.
Andre Lindauer,
Yes.
and Isaac McLennan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then just one more item for the line of duty, death, and memorial wall discussion. So this will mean that 3 individuals will be added to the 2024 memorial. Brandon Norberry, Brian Flowers, and Marie Stadley. We did have another death that may qualify. Benjamin Sapper was a wildland firefighter who also passed away in 2023. I've been working with the Department of Forestry to gather more information about that, but the last time that I checked, the investigation was still not completed. So once that's completed, I will bring that forward to the committee. Given the timing that it takes to have the names added to the wall, you will most likely be added to the wall for next year's memorial. So just wanted to give everybody an update and make sure you know we hadn't forgotten about him.
Great, thank you, Brooke. I always appreciate the work that you guys do here with the memorial wall as well. While I would love for us never to have to vote on these pieces again, it certainly is an opportunity to recognize their service and their families. So the next phase that we'll actually walk into, we have chair nominations, and so Chief Bader transitioned out as the chair, I think 2 sessions ago, maybe one meeting ago. Is that correct? I think that was our last one, wasn't it? So you got away with it, right? So we have some eligible chair nominees. I'm currently the chair. We have Chief Carragher, Andy Ponce, Chief Heppel, and Joseph Morneau. I'm working on the pronunciation of that, so I apologize. So with that, we open that up for discussion. So I think, okay, discussion and nomination. Let's get us right into that. So is there anybody interested in nominating somebody for the chair?
Not everyone at once. And also, just so everyone knows, it is a 2-year term. So, and all of the individuals also hold seats on the board. So that is the requirement for being chair. So you wouldn't be chair, if you hold a permanent seat on the board, you would not be chair for the rest of your life. It would just be for the 2-year period.
I will add, as people consider this as well, both Brooke and Kayla and Julia have been really helpful as I've stepped into some of these pieces and have had the opportunity to run some of these meetings. You guys have been amazing about helping me make sure that I have tools and resources in order to help plug. And I'm sure you've seen me kind of look to the side for some affirmation nods as well to make sure that I'm still on point. So it's a really great opportunity for people. It's an honorable position, and I certainly would encourage you to consider. Can you self-nominate?
Are you wanting to?
No, I was like,
giving us a sales pitch.
You're doing great.
As we have some folks on the phone, right, if there's an opportunity maybe for some discussion as far as if somebody's interested or if they have questions about what it entails.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I could wait all day.
Kayla, Chris Heppel, did you say the audio broke up a little bit? You said it needs to be somebody that's on the board, the BPSST? Is that what you said? Is to chair it?
That's correct. So in case the list kind of broke up, it is Claire McGrew, Jim Adams, Jack Carragher, Andy Ponce, Chris Heppel, and Joseph Morneau. Those are the eligible individuals.
Yeah, I think one of those folks would be great. Thanks.
Do you have a specific one in mind, maybe?
Chief Heppel, your name is on that list. I wanted to make sure we didn't break up there.
It was the first one that I popped. So. If you'd be nominated, would you deny it?
I deny everything you should know better. You've deployed with me. Yeah, I'm happy to step up if that's what the team needs.
I don't see anybody else stepping up, so I would like to nominate Chris.
It'll be fun.
Second.
Happy to be there.
So we have a first and a second for Chief Chris Heppel as the incoming chair, and so I appreciate the nomination, and also Chief Heppel, your interest in that as well. We'll go to a vote.
All right. Okay. Jack Carragher.
Aye.
Claire McGrew.
Yes.
Jim Adams.
Aye.
Joseph Morneau.
Definitely yes.
Tim Holzbach.
Yes.
Andy Ponce.
Yes.
Eric Zoutendijk.
Yes.
Tylese Swanson.
Yes.
Rose Douglas.
Yes.
Andre Lindauer.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Isaac McLennan.
Yes.
Okay. And Chris Heppel, you have the opportunity to respectfully decline, but I just want to get your confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion carries.
Perfect, thank you. And I think I remain as your vice chair, Chief Heppel, so I can offer any assistance and support in that as well. So I'll be happy to reach out after the meeting. We'll move into the next. Oh, sorry, did you have anything? Did you want to add anything to that, Chief Heppel?
No, thank you for the nomination and the unanimous support. I look forward to the opportunity.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
You're required to make a speech at this point.
Careful what you ask for. I rarely turn down a crowd.
We'll move into agency updates, and I know Dr. Castle is just stepped out, but maybe Kayla, you have something.
Yeah, I can go first. Kayla Ballrock for the record, Fire Program Manager at DPSST. So just a couple of quick updates regarding the fire program. So last weekend we had Winter Fire School. It was a great success. We had about 200 students here and about 100 agencies represented here at DPSST over the weekend. So we had some good kind of basic hands-on training down at the drill ground near the fire tower and in the fire tower. And then we also had some good National Fire Academy leadership classes that went on. We had 8 of those. So great turnout this year, and we were very excited to see that. And a really good kind of team effort, not only from the fire program, but DPSST as a whole. It's as you know, a very busy campus right now. So having us here on the weekend and then a quick transition into the classes that are happening this week was a big overhaul. But custodial facilities, our Aramark team, they all did a great job in making it a great success. So really appreciative of everyone and all of their efforts over the weekend. Speaking of National Fire Academy classes, so we are kind of getting in the habit of pushing National Fire Academy classes out to the Oregon Fire Service. So not only just having them here, but having the opportunity to have them kind of spread throughout Oregon as well, because we know it's a big state and it's really hard for some areas to get to DPSST. So we have some plans in the work, and we are kind of really closing in on some other opportunities for having National Fire Academy classes throughout the state, and then have a couple coming up. I believe that they are full. The decision-making class in Pendleton, I believe is full, but there is a waitlist opportunity available. And then we actually will have a command and control class here next week, a 6-day class that is also full, but again, a waitlist opportunity, but we're kind of getting to the last minute on that one. So could join a waitlist, but you know, it starts on, I think, March 4th. So just right around the corner. And then again, some other opportunities will be coming available shortly with those. This is also a maintenance recertification year. So in June, we will be sending every department thousands of pieces of paper just to ensure that everyone has the maintenance and the continued training to keep their certifications active. If they don't, they'll go to lapse. So this is that time for fire service. It's the fire service to kind of review that and make sure that everyone is up to speed, and if they don't, those certifications will go to lapsed. Always keep in mind, a lapsed certification is not a forever lapsed, so if you have any firefighters that are upset that their certifications are not currently active, they do have the opportunity to make those active again in the future. So AFG, Assistance to Firefighter Grant, is open right now and accepting applications. We are going to apply for a vehicle, vent, and 2 flag props. So these are props that we already have, but we're hoping to build our cadre of props and have a set of props in each region of Oregon. That way there's less wear and tear on the props. Our training coordinators and trainers are doing less drive time and more train time. So really some advantages of getting props in each region. That will take some time. We have quite a few props right now, and hopefully if we are approved for this grant, we'll have some more props, but getting a full cadre of props in each region will take a few years because, AFG only opens once a year. And we only have a certain amount of money that we can ask for. Unfortunately, it's not unlimited, but as you all know. But that is the goal, eventually to have a full set of props in each area. We do have some new staff, so some new training coordinators, which we're really excited about. A few of them have been with us for about 5 months now, and then another one for about 3 months. Ryan Frizzell is our newest staff. He is representing the South Willamette area. Rick Cooper is the Southwest Oregon coordinator, and Josh Feller is the Northwest Oregon coordinator. That just leaves us 2 vacancies, which is very exciting because this is the fullest we've been in a while. And those 2 vacancies, one of them is the Gorge District, so that one will open very shortly. As soon as we get some kind of logistic pieces settled with the duty station in that area. And then along with that, we'll open the other skid truck driver position. That position will mostly focus on skid truck training, but they will also have the opportunity to kind of help out with other trainings in the area as well. So we already have 1 skid truck training position currently filled, and this will be kind of like their partner in crime as they travel around Oregon with the skid truck. Speaking of skid truck, our training coordinators are looking into some areas that the skid truck hasn't been in a few years, and they're even looking into some areas that it has never been. So they're in talks with some areas of Oregon that have potential. Of course, the skid truck, the requirement is that certain dimensions and certain depths of the asphalt, so it can't just go anywhere. There are parameters with how with the area that they're taking the skid truck to. So right now we only have a handful of places that we can train with the skid truck. So opening that up for additional opportunities would be great, especially in some of those areas that haven't seen it before. So really hoping that will work out, and their next training I think is coming up in Goshen, so that is in the next few weeks. So if you have anyone interested in going to the Goshen, Eugene area that would like to go through that program, it is a great program. Please encourage them to fill those seats because it may not be back to that area for a few years. I think the last thing I had, Brooke mentioned the 3 individuals that will go on the wall. The Fallen Firefighters Memorial Wall. That date will be June 20th this year. So encourage everyone to spread the word and come to the memorial on June 20th. It will be at 1 p.m. And with that, I will, unless anyone has any questions, I will kick it over to the director for an agency update. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil Castle, for the record. Madam Vice Chair, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I don't have too much to add. I always like to take a moment to talk about these policy committees and thank the policy committee, because this is quite a commitment to make, to be here, and it is quite a heavy responsibility for the decisions you have to make in this policy committee. So I don't take that lightly. None of us do take that lightly. So we really appreciate your consideration and your deliberation and the time you take to prepare for these meetings. It's a really big deal. Very, very important responsibility here. So thank you very much. I really mean that. I also want to thank the team here, the fire team. A lot of preparation goes into these policy committee meetings, and they do a lot of work to prepare for this. and they've been on full burn for the last couple of weeks as we just had Winter Fire School this last weekend. And special thanks to Julia for all her work in that space, as well as the whole team. It went smashingly well this last weekend, other than a little hiccup in the beginning that if you're curious about, we can talk about offline, but nothing to do with the team or the preparation by any means. So really great. One of the things that I'll point out is, you know, DPSST is busier than it has ever been. We have more students on this campus than we ever have, and that will increase as the month of March goes along. It'll peak, and then we will start to go down. That said, regardless of how busy that we are a public safety academy, and fire is public safety and a very important bone of this academy, and we will make space if there is training that wants to be done, needs to be done here on the academy. So I just want to put that out there. We will figure it out. And again, as of the end of March, our population will start to go down, and it'll start to look a little bit more normal as we head into the summer months. So that's really, really good. Another really great thing that's happening is the governor, you know, officially added public safety to her priorities, which is pretty awesome. She's and particularly called out wildfire within that. She's also started to lean forward on the 25-27 budget, and which is quite early for us to start having these discussions with agencies. But she wants to know upfront and early what agencies need to be successful in the 25-27 budget. So we are working very closely with the governor's office right now, which will allow us to have conversations with constituents and legislators a lot earlier than we normally do, and with the policy committee and the board. So that's really good. Within the next couple of months, we will be finalizing some initial conversations with the governor's office, and we'll have be able to have much deeper conversations with you about strategies going forward for 25-27. But as you heard, you know, Kayla and team are really strategizing around how can we serve Oregon more broadly, serve some more underserved parts of the state that we learned about during our roundtable that we had a couple of months ago. Thank you, Rose. We've taken a lot of what you had to say to heart, and we're working in that space. So that's about all I have, pending your question, Madam Vice Chair.
I don't have any. Thank you for your update, Director Castle. Any questions from the group? No questions. And so a quick plug, I know we had a couple of folks from OSFM that attended Winter Fire School, and they said amazing things about it. So I really appreciate the support of yourself to have fire in the facility, not literally, but also for you to have classes that were able to sustain that and the great work that you did there. Perfect. So that brings us to the end of our meeting, and I don't believe that we have to have a motion to adjourn. So we'll just call the adjournment at looks like 10:18, Julia. I appreciate everybody being able to attend today, and for the comments and the great work that you do as well. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Chris Heppel.
And our next Fire Policy Committee meeting will be the 22nd of May at 9 a.m. And I sent everyone the schedule, but if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.